Babylon was the ancient city where some of the most influential empires of the ancient world ruled. It was the capital of the Babylonian Empire, and it was considered to be a center of commerce, art, and learning, and is estimated to have been the largest early city in the world, perhaps the first to reach a population above 200,000. Presently it is an archaeological site and has only several thousand residents and a few villages within the archaeological boundaries, although constructions have increased rapidly in recent years with some encroaching on the ruins. The archaeological site lies approximately 85 kilometers 53 miles south of present-day Baghdad in Hilla, Babel Governorate, Iraq, and its boundaries have been based on the perimeter of the ancient outer city walls, an area of about 1,054.3 hectares. Babylon was inscribed by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site and receives thousands of visitors each year, almost all of whom are Iraqis. 1. History. By around the 19th century BC, much of southern Mesopotamia was occupied by Amorites, nomadic tribes from the northern Levant who were northwest Semitic speakers, unlike the native Akkadians of southern Mesopotamia and Assyria, who spoke East Semitic. The Amorites at first did not practice agriculture like more urbanized Mesopotamians, preferring a semi-nomadic lifestyle, herding sheep, goats and other livestock. Over time, Amorite grain merchants rose to prominence and established their own independent dynasties in several South Mesopotamian city-states, most notably Isin, Larsa, Eshnunna, Lachish, and later, founding Babylon as a state. 2. Old Babylonian period. According to a Babylonian date list, Amorite rule in Babylon began c. 19th or 18th century BC, with a chieftain named Sumu-Abum, who declared independence from the neighboring city-state of Kazulu. Sumu-Lurel, whose dates may be concurrent with those of Sumu-Abum, is usually given as the progenitor of the first Babylonian dynasty. Both are credited with building the walls of Babylon. In any case, the records describe Sumu-Lurel's military successes establishing a regional sphere of influence for Babylon. Babylon was initially a minor city-state, and controlled little surrounding territory. Its first 4 Amorite rulers did not assume the title of king. The older and more powerful states of Assyria, Elam, Isin, and Larsa overshadowed Babylon until it became the capital of Hammurabi's short-lived empire about a century later. Hammurabi r. 1792–1750 BC, is famous for codifying the laws of Babylonia into the Code of Hammurabi. He conquered all of the cities and city-states of southern Mesopotamia, including Isin, Larsa, Ur, Uruk, Nippur, Lachish, Eridu, Kish, Adab, Eshnunna, Akshak, Akkad, Shuruppak, Bad Tibira, Sippar, and Girsu, coalescing them into one kingdom, ruled from Babylon. Hammurabi also invaded and conquered Elam to the east, and the kingdoms of Mari and Ebla to the northwest. After a protracted struggle with the powerful Assyrian king Ishmi-Dagan of the Old Assyrian Empire, he forced his successor to pay tribute late in his reign, spreading Babylonian power to Assyria's Hattian and Hurrian colonies in Asia Minor. 3. Middle Babylonidate. In 1595 BC, the city was overthrown by the Hittite Empire from Asia Minor. Thereafter, Kassites from the Zagros Mountains of northwestern ancient Iran captured Babylon, ushering in a dynasty that lasted for 435 years, until 1160 BC. Babylon weakened during the Kassite era, and as a result, the Kassite Babylon was paying the tribute to the pharaoh of Egypt, Thutmose III, after his 8th campaign against Mitanni. The city was renamed Karanduniash during this period. Kassite Babylon eventually became subject to the Middle Assyrian Empire 1365–1053 BC, to the north, and Elam to the east, with both powers vying for control of the city. The Assyrian king Tukulti-Ninurta I took the throne of Babylon in 1235 BC. By 1155 BC, after continued attacks and annexing of territory by the Assyrians and Elamites, the Kassites were deposed in Babylon. An Akkadian South Mesopotamian dynasty then ruled for the first time. However, Babylon remained weak and subject to domination by Assyria. 4. Assyrian period. During the rule of the Neo-Assyrian Empire 911–609 BC, Babylonia was under constant Assyrian domination or direct control. During the reign of Sennacherib of Assyria, Babylonia was in a constant state of revolt, led by a chieftain named Merodach-Baladan, in alliance with the Elamites, and suppressed only by the complete destruction of the city of Babylon. In 689 BC, its walls, temples and palaces were razed, and the rubble was thrown into the Eritu, the sea bordering the earlier Babylon on the south. The destruction of the religious center shocked many, and the subsequent murder of Sennacherib by two of his own sons while praying to the god Nisroch was considered an act of atonement. Consequently, his successor, Esarhaddon, hastened to rebuild the old city and make it his residence for part of the year. After his death, Babylonia was governed by his eldest son, the Assyrian prince Shamash-Shum-ukin, who eventually started a civil war in 652 BC against his own brother, Ashurbanipal, who ruled in Nineveh. Shamash-Shum-ukin enlisted the help of other peoples against Assyria, including Elam, Persia, the Chaldeans, and Suteans of southern Mesopotamia, and the Canaanites and Arabs dwelling in the deserts south of Mesopotamia. 5. Muslim conquest. In the mid-7th century, Mesopotamia was invaded and settled by the expanding Muslim Empire, and a period of Islamization followed. Babylon was dissolved as a province, and Aramaic and Church of the East Christianity eventually became marginalized. Ibn Hawqal 10th century, and the Arab scholar, Al-Qazwini 13th century, described Babel as a small village. The latter described a well referred to as the Dungeon of Daniel, that was visited by Christians and Jews during holidays. The grave shrine of Amran ibn Ali was visited by Muslims. Babylon is mentioned in medieval Arabic writings as a source of bricks, said to have been used in cities from Baghdad to Basra. European travelers, in many cases, could not discover the city's location, or mistook Fallujah for it. Benjamin of Tudela, a 12th century traveler, mentions Babylon, but it is not clear if he went there. Others referred to Baghdad as Babylon or New Babylon and described various structures encountered in the region as the Tower of Babel. 55. Pietro della Valle traveled to the village of Babel in Babylon in the 17th century and noted the existence of both baked and dried mud bricks cemented with bitumen. 6. Present day. In May 2009, the provincial government of Babel reopened the site to tourists and over 35,000 people visited in 2017. An oil pipeline runs through an outer wall of the city. On the 5th of July 2019, the site of Babylon was inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Thousands of people reside in Babylon within the perimeter of the ancient outer city walls, and communities in and around them are rapidly developing from compact, dense settlements to sprawling suburbia despite laws restricting constructions. It is not uncommon for locals to build houses out of river reeds. Modern villages include Swear West, Sinjar Village, Quraysh, and Al-Jumaymah, among which the first two are better off economically. Most residents primarily depend on daily wage earning or have government jobs in Al-Hilla, while few cultivate dates, citrus fruits, figs, fodder for livestock and limited cash crops, although income from the land alone is not enough to sustain a family. Both Shia and Sunni Muslims live in Sinjar village with mosques for both groups. The State Board of Antiquities and Heritage (SBAH) is the main authority responsible for the conservation of the archaeological site. They are assisted by Antiquity and Heritage Police and maintain a permanent presence there. The World Monuments Fund is also involved in research and conservation. The SBAH Provincial Inspectorate headquarters is located within the boundaries of the ancient inner city walls on the east side, and several staff members and their families reside in subsidized housing in this area. That's 6 history of the beauty of this city building. Thank you. Hope it's useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.